When I think about Shaka Zulu, um, I always think he went from a man to a boy. It's like his life was backward. Because, first of all, that was really the movie Shaka Zulu. The actor was Henry Kelly, I believe you pronounce his last name, South African. So yes, Shaka Zulu was a South African Zulu, not just warrior and conqueror. He formed the Zulu Empire, and he was very well known, or I think he stands out in history for being one of the best strategic militants or military strategists. His warfare or his strategy was genius. He was able to hold off the British colonization for some time. And so yeah, he the way he stood up to the British, you know, of course, as a young person watching that, I was, so I got my first idea of Africa, even as someone separate, not understanding that I was a child of Africa, connected to Africa, just seeing and being impressed by African culture as something separate from me. So yeah, that was my introduction, and I was quite impressed, you know, even just not just aside from Shaka in the whole life story and his rich story, just the, I don't know, I just hadn't seen any other movies or any other documentaries or anything about Africa to give me an idea of what life was like there, what people were there like. And I know this is in the 1800s, so of course it was long before, but it still gave me a feeling of like, wow, I love that culture. I feel connected to that. I see the richness in it. So back to Shaka. Yes, he impressed me very much by standing up to the British, and also his father. I loved how he held on and was so powerful as a young boy that he protected his mother. He was like the man, you know, for his mother. And he saw how his father treated his mother. And he held on to that. And one day he rose to power and took over that kingdom. It was just phenomenal. I loved how he turned that whole situation around, and the way he walked up to the front to take his rightful place in a place where his mother was shunned, where he was, you know, they teased him, they looked down on him, they treated him so poorly before. So I was very impressed by his character. I mean, you could not beat Shaka when it came to character as far as I was concerned. After watching that movie and after watching him in his early days, I thought, that is how you embody a true character, or hold yourself, you know, in the midst of troubles, and when everybody's kicking you, and you see your mother being mistreated, and how do you walk, how do you stay? He was fierce, he had like a fire, you know. But then he got his power, and you would think, okay, after that lifelong struggle, what's now more important to you than making sure your people are provided for, making sure everybody's living happy and healthy, you know, fending off your territory, yes, with your military might and your strategy and your genius, yes. But then what happened was, and it could have been mental illness. I think it's documented that he had gone through some mental illness, but he went from being strong to weak. It turned from power to overpowering people, being brutal, brutish, bullish, for no reason, overdoing it to show up power. Like, it was kind of gross at one point in the movie, started to turn me off. And that's another thing I recognized in myself as a young person, is that bullying turned me off. It's repugnant. I'm repulsed by it. So that never changed. So even then, I recognize that's his downfall, his ego, his power, his need to show to the world, I am better, I am the best. That's where his downfall. And after that, it just tripped down, down, down. He started to disrespect his own mother. He was too demanding of her, expecting way too much from his wife, demanding, complete and utter loyalty in a way that was just not just over the top, it's humanly impossible the way the things he was demanding of his people and his people around him. And, so in the end, it was, what do you call, a tragedy, a tragic ending for him. I think it was his brothers who decided, or his auntie, or maybe all of them, they got together and formed some kind of, decision, and plan to take him out. I think they figured they had to save the people because he was just going through everyone, destroying the whole, it was madness. So with that, let's get into the cards and see what Spirit wants to say about Shaka, or people with power that start off, as real, embodying true power, and then turn into something monstrous, pretty much. Let's see. Which deck should I go with first? Go with this one. This could be about Shaka. This could be someone you know that went from being someone that embodied true character, and you expected, wow, if they're doing so well in the mud, in the gutter, in the ghetto, then when they become famous, when they become, some kind of basketball player perhaps, or a musician, somebody, with star status, they really going to do well. And then you're surprised to see that they should have stayed poor, but they were a better person before. And why can't they just stay that way, or take that money and become even greater? That's really puzzles me. So maybe you guys know the answer to that. But what I have here, suppression. Let's read what it says. Express, don't suppress. Authenticity is freeing. I never thought about that with Shaka, or maybe someone else that embodies a strong character when they're younger. You are suppressing. Just think about it. He was a boy, and he had to hold it down for his mother. He had to look out for enemies. I remember one time he stood up for his grandmother and fought off like a group of boys, or I think there was a line where she told him, never leave an enemy behind, because he will rise again to come after your throat, or something like that. And he took that lesson to heart, But I'm sorry, back to the suppression thing. He had to maybe suppress fears to stand up to those bullies, and to stand up to being, to powerful people, and not gangs, but neighboring villages that had, enemies. So yeah, he did have to suppress things, which could have led to some mental illness, and challenges, therefore. Okay, Holy Spirit, thank you. What else? To get to the top, you sometimes suppress a lot of things, Envy. Turn green eyes into a force for self-improvement and inspiration. Envy. Turn green eyes into a force for self-improvement and inspiration. So maybe the envy that he, experienced, I'm sure, watching people enjoy the fruits of his father's empire or kingdom, and he wasn't allowed. His mother wasn't allowed. And this was his firstborn son, I believe. that had to feel like he must have been envious of even his siblings that were able to enjoy, and his father's other wives that were able to enjoy the kingdom. I'm sure there was some envy there, which would have built up a lot of hatred. Fear. Face your darkness. It's the only way to find the guiding light. Face your darkness. It's the only way to find the guiding light. I really can't think of a moment where Shaka was fearful. I'm sure in, real life, he was human, so he had to have some fearful moments. Maybe, again, that's the suppression in order to be that man for his mother, his grandmother. And I think he had a little sister too. I think so, yeah. But in order to be the protector for them, maybe he suppressed those fears. And it says here, it's the only way to find the guiding light. So maybe he was never able to find that guiding light. Grief and pain find healing and deeper connection to the self. Surely he didn't allow himself to grieve. He definitely kept a very stoic, very much a King of Swords, maybe even King of Swords in the reverse. Emperor, definitely in the reverse at the end. And when he lost friends, when he lost people that he loved, it was like when he had to banish, or not had to, when he chose to banish people that he loved for being disloyal, which meant falling short of complying with every little thing under the sun. So maybe inside he felt sadness that he just had to stuff in order to appear unmoved. And numbness came out with grief, yeah. To feel pain is to be alive and human. So yeah, he numbed out his grief. He numbed out a lot of his feelings, his love for his mother, for his wife, when he was angry with them, when they showed any sign of disloyalty. He had to numb those feelings. And I think that would make anybody turn into, have some mental issues, and psychological and spiritual issues, definitely. Let's dig into some other cards regarding this. What about other people surrounding Shaka? Nandi. I always love that name, Nandi. Healing. Nandi was probably thinking she would heal. Imagine being shunned. Oh my word. Being tossed out. Being kicked out. Not just of the, they at one point I saw her walking for days to get away from, well, it wasn't her husband, but Shaka's father, the king, trying to get away, and reaching some kind of village, far. And imagine being cast out like that, and then your son rising to power, and you get to walk proudly amongst all of your enemies and all the people that laughed at you, teased you, kicked you, talked about you. Imagine how that must have been a healing moment. But then she couldn't really heal, because not too long after that, she saw her son taking a downward turn. So she must have felt like, was it even right to come back? Well, we had been better off in that neighboring land village where, at least he was his best self. wild. Usually this card, I love it because it's like freedom, free to be you. But in this instance, I'm seeing it as in wild, as in he let himself get too carried away with power. He was drunk on power. I think it became a thing where everything I couldn't do before, I'm going to do everything and then some. People that hurt me, I'm going to overhurt you. He just went too far. You know, it's like, okay, you're free now, enjoy your freedom, but freedom doesn't mean hurt other people or retaliate. You stand and you defend and you protect so no one comes after you, nobody can hurt you, no one can conquer your land, but you don't just go out and you know, I can't say the words I want to say on YouTube, but you can't destroy people in a whole community because you have this insatiable need to be insatiable thing that you have to feed. It's like a beast, you know, that can never be fed because you can never go back in time to when you were being mistreated, to when they were treated. You can't go back and correct it. All you can do is live for today and move forward. Let's get a few tarot cards on this. Let's see what wants to come out. Ace of Swords, my message is the truth. I would love to say that, but I think in this instance regarding what we're talking about here, being truthful with yourself, being clear and honest, seeing things clearly through clear lenses and not obscure lenses, or not from, you know, like seeing reality for what it is. I think he got lost. He stopped seeing things through realistic lenses and started to just be in Shaka's world. Everything was about Shaka, what Shaka wants, and these people around me don't matter at all. But when you are a leader, or you're a king, or you're an empire, you're there for the people. They come first. Everything you do is about them. So, yeah, he got that part backward. I knew this would come out even before I started reading. I don't know why. I saw the Four of Wands and I thought to myself, what would that have to do with this reading? And I kind of hoped it would not come out, but here it is. All right, and you know what I'm going to do, because I think that it's poignant. It's important to this for some reason. Four of Wands, of course, could mean house, could mean stability, a stable family, celebration, or all of that. But let's just see what I can find here that doesn't stand out. It's not the usual message here. Four Wands, Mohini and Aryan, India, Sanskrit epic poem. The Four of Wands represents rejoicing and festivities, a well-deserved celebration and a stable time to be thankful. Cherishing loved ones, Mohini and Aryan embrace each other, enjoying the time before the next adventure begins. Reunion, success, pride, happiness, and family. So yeah, I'm not sure. Only that, like, he could have been more celebratory with his family, of course, with his community, with the whole empire. They could have lived more of a happy life. I mean, imagine you're powerful, you're fighting off the British. Let's be happy. But his role was very not happy. His role was all about walking on eggshells, pleasing Shaka, a lot of rules to adhere to. Life was just very rigid. So that's what I can get from that. what they wanted to come out is that there was no celebration. There was no Four Wands happiness, not within his home and not within his community. Three of Cups, but it came out in the reverse. Same that is similar to the Four Wands. For me, these are two celebrating cards, groups, communities. So yeah, Three of Cups in the reverse. They didn't celebrate. They didn't have much happiness. Not much camaraderie. It was always enemies, enemies, enemies. Even my people next to me that love me, I see them as my enemies. I see them as people that I have to protect myself from or be suspicious of. That's the word I'm thinking of, suspicion. And that Five of Wands, of course, always at battle. Again, yes, that's good as a leader up against the British, colonialist that's trying to come and invade, or any neighboring villages that want to come over and, usurp your authority. But to your loving mother and your wife, or your, I think he didn't even want to have children. That was the thing with his wife. He was vexed with her because she was trying to hide it, and he was going too far with that battle within and battling without. Let's get one more. He gave me three. Okay. Two of Swords, Strength, and the Eight of Wands. Well, we know he was very strong, overpowering, in fact. And Eight of Wands, yes, he was always on attack. And I see this bird flying through the air like wands of fire, ready to attack. So I'm thinking like that's his strength for him, was that he was always ready to attack, or he could always fight. That was his strength, battling, sending out, warring. And then the Two of Wands looks like protecting herself against fire. So maybe always thinking that he's got to protect himself, lock himself off, and be strong and attack those before they could attack him. That's what I'm getting from this. Always living like, if I don't get you first, you're going to get me. Yes, so you get that at that dream leadership position or dream. Today's world, I'm thinking, you achieve a lot of success. You should enjoy it. Don't ruin it by finally getting to that place you strived for, you imagined, only to ruin it with ego, pride, suspicious behaviors, or suspicious mind. Love people, share with people, don't be greedy, don't be stingy. Let love lead your heart, and let go of any past trespasses against you, any past, I'm not saying that if someone hurt you in the past, let them in your inner circle. No, keep your boundaries up. But at the same time, the people that you do surround yourself with, that you love and that they love you, don't let money or power change you toward them. Just because you're the same person. Don't ever let success or achieving a milestone change who you are at the core. If anything, if it changes you, let it be somebody that's more spiritually evolved, that's equipped, that can handle those changes, that can handle leadership. So with that, thank you for being here to talk about Shaka, and I will see you next time.